Good morning, burgers. Hi from Australia. How are you doing today, Ashley? How can we make this the way it ought to be? Something like that? It's a little bit better. Okay. Good morning, Katie. We had an open farm tour the other day, and there was this man who came to look at the farm, and he walked up the hill and saw my students, and as he was walking down the hill, I was walking up, and he just, like, as we were passing, he looked at me and says, "Are you one of those forest nymphs up on the hill?" And I was like, I guess so. And I don't know, labels and symbols and all the rest confuse me. Like, I suppose I am, for better or for worse, a kind of professional fairy goddess character, right? Like, I certainly don't hide from the labeling, although I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means. I'm whatever I want to be. What do I want to be? Will you tell me? I don't know. I guess it strikes me as a little bit ironic because, like, in the milieu that I live in, I am, like, in some ways the least fairy goddess, right? Like, I pay attention to how I look, but, like, I'm an internet creature. Like, I'm surrounded by gadgets and gizmos and spinning hard drives, and, like, I do accounting, and, like, there are, like, legit herbalists I live with who are just, like, outside all the time, and, like, to me, they're the fairy goddesses. So, I don't know, people get images, right? Like, I'm a professional image creator, so people get images of me and then they draw conclusions, and I don't know what the conclusions mean, but, like, I made the image and I'm responsible for the image, and existential crisis waiting to happen. But anyway, I was doing some vocalizing. Rachel's here. Hi. That was very quick. I expected it was going to be like 40 minutes, because sometimes it is.
I said 5 minutes.
You said 5 minutes, and you were not lying.
I didn't get distracted.
You didn't get distracted.
By doing another task.
Now I'm a little bit regretting streaming, because I want to
okay.
hang out with you. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay.
I'll just be over here.
You'll be over here. Have a sip?
Yeah.
Did you refill it, or is it almost empty?
I refilled it, and it's a little too hot for you, but you'll be okay.
Okay. Katie says good morning.
Good morning, Katie. Katie has kids?
Katie has kids. She lives outside of Toronto, somewhere in that part of the world.
Does Katie have a teen kid who was good to his partner, who's non-binary and level 12?
No.
No, that's somebody else?
No, that's Kimmy.
Oh, well, okay, that's understandable.
And Kimmy says good morning, too.
Oh, good morning. Good job raising kids, everybody.
Good morning, everyone. Alright, so let's continue on. I'm gonna make a sound that's similar to my speaking voice, but longer and purer, and hopefully will allow me to maintain my speaking voice in a nice way for longer, and it's gonna sound like this. That was abysmal.
Is
But
it quiet?
it's very quiet. I'm very bad at that exercise, which is why I do it all the time. Anyway. So today is Monday, and it's the middle of July, and we're gonna say the same things we always say, because why not? Because I'm a repetitive creature of habit, and that's what I do. And y'all are here because you think that's valuable, despite whatever doubts I might have. So we're going to say the Shema from the book of Deuteronomy, and then we'll read from the Enuma Elish, and then we'll say Arati, and then we'll say Kaddish. And maybe we'll throw in some other things if we're feeling like it. You're from Borneo? That's incredible. Of all the places in the world to visit, Borneo is very high up there on my list. I wish I could go to Borneo.
But David.
With David. Yes. David Attenborough made me think about Borneo like a entitled white person.
Yep.
Thank you, Meg. I try. Let's get this day going. Dr. Punk is impatient. Wants me to say the words. These are important words, you know? The words tell me to repeat them, so I better repeat them. They go like this. Shema Yisrael Asher Eloheinu Yahweh Echad. ואהבת את ענת אלוהיך ובכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך וחיו הדברים האלה אשר נוחי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך וחיה כי ויחיו אלוהיך אל הארץ אשר נשבע לאבותיך לאברהם ליצחק וליעקב לתת לך ערים גדולות וטובות אשר לא בנית ובתים מלאים כל טובה אשר לא מילאת וברות עצובים אשר לא עשת כי ערים וזיתים אשר לא נתת והלכת ושבת הישמר לך פן תשכח את יהוה אשר תישך מארץ מצרים מבית עבדים. And you shall love Yahweh Eloheinu with all your heart and all your soul and all your might. And these words which I repeat to you today, you should teach them to your children and recite them when you are at home and when you are away and when you are up in the morning and when you go to bed at night. And you shall bind them as a symbol on your hand and let them serve as a sign on your forehead and inscribe them on the doorposts of your houses and on your gates. Repeat, repeat, repeat. What's life for? To repeat the patterns of life. That's what life is for. I think that's what all my evolutionary training tells me. The purpose of my life is to make more of me in whatever format I can, digital or genetical or otherwise. Good morning, baby love. How are you doing today? It's really nice to see you. So, we're going to repeat some old patterns. Because I think it's meaningful to repeat old patterns. We've been reading from the Enuma Elish, right? This is a Babylonian creation myth, and according to the ancient Babylonians, unsurprisingly, creation and war are intertwined like this. I do know how it is Life makes you busy. If you were not busy, you might not be alive, because you wouldn't be doing things. You haven't seen me. That's too bad. My image is controlled by the whims of an unthinking algorithm that, even though it does not think, it has strong opinions. I don't know what to do about that. But here we are. 12 humans in a virtual space. Tap the screen. Yeah, that's what you can do about that. But calls to action make me uncomfortable. All the social media experts, they tell me that's what I should do if I want to have a good social media business, but it makes me uncomfortable because commodification. I don't know. So here we are reading old books. We're just going to read some old books. So this old book is about a cosmic war that created the world, right? So Tiamat and Apsu mingle their waters, but they don't, because you have some weird unification of opposite stuff happening, and they create all the world and all the gods, and then the gods get really raucous and rebellious, and Tiamat gets angry, and then there's a war, and Marduk is elected champion and king, and he's gonna set out the whole fate of the universe, and he kills Tiamat, and he rips her in half, and from the top part of her body he creates the heavens, and from the bottom part of her body he creates the earth. And we learned about all of the things that he made out of this very violent destruction, killing his mother. Oh my goodness. Not his mother, his great-great-great-grandmother, demon goddess, dragon lady with the laser beams in the eyes. And anyway, now he is king, he's victorious, and he is presiding on his throne with the scepter in one hand and the club in the other, and everybody acknowledges him as the divine king who will reign forever, because, you gotta have a king if you're going to be an organized human society. There can't be any other possible way to organize it besides hierarchical, patriarchal kingship. That's just the only way that they knew how to do it. And so we're going to continue reading about their story, about kingship. They raised their voices to be heard, speaking together. Lugal Dimir Ankia is his name. Put reliance in him. And when Marduk was the recipient of their stately honors, they declared splendid words of praise and service to him. From this time forward, you will construct our holy temples, and everything you request of us, we will always act to fulfill. Because they are his servants. So Marduk raised his voice to be heard, intending to speak. The king raised his voice to speak to his forebears, the gods. Above the sea-green dwelling, the Apsu, near to Eshara, which I made for you after firming the earth for a temple. There I will build my own personal abode to solidify my rule. At times that you arise from the Apsu to have a congress, accommodating all of you, you will spend your nights there. At the times that you descend from heaven to have a congress, accommodating all of you, you will spend your nights there. Right, so this is a mythology about what temples are, right? Like, temples are akin to palaces, right? So kings have palaces and gods have temples, and the state makes both of them. And there's at important times when the state needs to make decisions, they call the gods down from the heavens into their temple, which is their palace, where they can hold a congress, and therefore help craft the will of the king, right? It's a description of the way the state works with divine authority. Accommodating all of you, you will spend your nights there. From now on, it will be called Babylon, the high god's place, and we will cause it to be the locus of all religious practices. And his forebears, the gods, heard every word of his decree. None but you, sire, could have devised such a worthy thing. Who could exceed your ability beyond what you have done? Who could exceed your works beyond the lands you made? The name you have just now enunciated, which is Babylon, we will have found there our night's lodgings forevermore. As for the people, they must bring us their usual offerings, so that man will be the one who must labor in the daily field, and for every kind of exertion that we do is for his own benefit. There will be the product of his labors be laid before us. So they build Trump Tower, basically, is what happens. They build a giant tower, and all the gods can live in it, and it's very nice. And all shouted gleefully for the product of his great work. The gods will be their lords and have supremacy over them. Who among them knows by what power they give light? He raised his voice to be heard, making his orders known. His sovereignty was to be established over them henceforth. He was established upon the throne of everlasting honors, and they bowed to him in praise. And then the gods said to him, speaking their words to their lord, Lugar, Dimi, Anika, until now Marduk has been our own cherished son, yet now he also stands as your monarch. Obey him truly. The god Anu bestowed unto him long life and abundance. The god Elil made mantles of brilliance, mace and scepter. The god Ea made known to him all the wisdom of the ages, while we dedicate ourselves to defending his rule forever. What a story. Thank you, Meg. I like it when people tell me that I look nice on the morning stream. It makes me feel good. It really does. So that's the story of how Marduk became king of everything. And I why do I read these old stories, right? Like, their morals are like kind of atrocious, right? Like, they exist to convince you of the validity of an authoritarian god king. And like, personally, in my actual life, I've had quite enough of authoritarian god kings. But I guess, like, I want to understand the psychology that created it, right? Like, there's a reason why the states of the world, the politics of the world come out of that model, right? Like, hierarchy is very effective at commanding and controlling people. So I guess my thought is that if we understand these myths about the creation of kingship, right? Like, these are like the original constitutions, right? The Constitution in the United States is only 300 years old. This is over 3,000 years old, right? But they both describe basically the same thing, which is like they're documents that give authority to the state. And I think if we understand their psychology and the way that they are used to motivate people, maybe we can respond to them better in our own times. No, Meg, you have not missed breakfast. I do have breakfast sitting right there, but I haven't decided yet if I'm going to eat on camera or off. I think it depends on what Rachel wants.
You should eat.
Hmm?
You should eat with your friends.
I should eat with my friends?
Yeah, if you want to.
But you're my friend.
But I'm right here.
That's true. Thank you, Danny. That's really sweet. I really do like learning and teaching. That's how I want to spend my life. I have a lot of doubts because did you know that being a professional learner and teacher is hard to accomplish because ideas aren't as valuable as like tomatoes or electricity or I don't know. Everyone else around me, the value of the things they do is like really concrete, right? Like they make like tangible goods or they like heal people or I don't know. Peddling in ideas is it's a free market out there and ideas are cheap and lots of people want to make them. But so it goes. Anyway, let's sing a song in English because I know you like it when I do this one. I don't do it every day because I don't like English, but this is a nice little prayer. It goes like this. I don't want to pray to my maker, no. I just want to be feeling free. Not just who I am, but the pink and golden land and that wide, wild sky over me. Help me to the sun, hey, I'm looking everywhere. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. Pray, and it's not much good to talk, better to walk it. Ooh, not much good to take, better to give. We are done, forgiven, and forgotten of our sins. And I promise you, my friends, all that dies will live again. So, pardon, God and Mom, what I'm saying isn't fair. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. Pray. I love Allah, Allah made love. And Yahweh made hate. Asher, I made good. And Anat made bad. Elohim made love. And Yahweh made hate. I love Allah. God made me. My friend, can I have some water? All of them are over there. Thanks. So, now we're gonna say Arati. Repeat the names of so many gods. Like, they really do feel like empty syllables to me. And I think that's a little bit by design, right? Like, obviously, if I was living in ancient Babylon when I was reading all of these names of gods, right? Like Anu and Elil and Ea, and Marduk and Lugal, Dimir, Anka, right? Like, all of these names, they would mean something to me. They'd be like the names of celebrities or like Harry Potter characters, or, you know, things that like everybody around me knew the names and knew the narratives around them. And instead, because these texts are so old, when I say them to you, they're a little bit hollow. But I think that in itself is valuable, right? Like, I can say Arati and I can say all of these names of different gods, and like you might know nothing about the narratives around them, but you know the meta narrative, right? Like, you know the narrative that unites them all together. And I think that's important, right? Like, to try to take in the full breadth of all of human mythology in one piece, because I think that the mythology is trying to show us something unitary. So we'll say Arati and repeat the names of these Vedic gods and teachers, and then we'll say some other words. Jaya Jayarati Vina Vinayaka Vina Vinayaka Shri Ganesha Jaya Jayarati Subramanya Subramanya Kartikeya Jaya Jayarati Venugopala Venugopala Venuola Papa Vidura Navanita Chora Jaya Jayarati Venkanta Ramana Venkanta Ramana Sankatarana Sita Rama Radhe Shama Jaya Jayarati Gauri Manohara Gauri Manohara Bhavani Sankara Samba Sadashiva Uma Maheshwara Jaya Jayarati Raja Rajeshwari Raja Rajeshwari Tripura Sundari Mahalakshmi and Mahasaraswati Mahakali and Mahashakti Jaya Jayarati Anjaneya Anjaneya Hanumanta Jaya Jayarati Dattatreya Dattatreya Trimurti Avatara Jaya Jayarati Adityaya Adityaya Bhaskareya Jaya Jayarati Sanistaraya Sanistaraya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jayarati Sankarachaya Sankarachaya Advaita Gurave Jaya Jayarati Sadgurunata Sadgurunata Shivananda Jaya Jayarati Vishnu Devananda Vishnu Devananda Vishnu Devananda Jaya Jayarati Agastya Munaye Agastya Munaye Shirama Priyaye Jaya Jayarati Ayapa Samine Ayapa Samine Dharma Shastave Jaya Jayarati Jesus Gurave Moses Gurave Buddha Gurave Jaya Jayarati Muhammad Gurave Guru Nanak Gurave Samastya Gurubho Namaha Jaya Jayarati Venugopala Natatra Suryabhati Natandrakaratam Nima Vidyobhati Kutoyamagni Tvamiva Bantam Manti Sarvam Tasya Basya Samidam Vivanti Om Yange Kayamune Kaiva Govari Saraswati Narmade Siddhikaveri Namastitam Namo Namaha. Can anyone tell Crypt Kitten what language we're speaking in right now? Maybe. And Meg, I'm glad that you like my dimples. I am less glad that you wish you had some, because the internet is, or particularly TikTok, particularly this live stream, is a jealousy machine, right? Like, the structure of the algorithm is designed to make you jealous that I have things that you do not. And I am sure that you have body parts that I, too, am jealous of. I am 100% positive of it. That is literally what dysphoria is. So, we can all be jealous of one another in an Ouroboros circle of life and death and suffering. So, it's Sanskrit. This prayer is in Sanskrit. Tvameva mata, chapita tvameva, tvameva bandusha saka tvameva, tvameva vidya, dravinam tvameva, tvameva sarvam mama deva deva, kayena vacha, manasendriyarva, buddhyatmanava prakrite sabhavad, karomyat yad, mangalam parasmahe, Narayana iti sarmar payami. Sarvadharmam pravijayam amikam savanam raja. Aham sva sarva papayo mokshayami masucha. Whatever actions I perform with my body, speech, mind, senses, my nature, my intellect, or my emotions, all these I dedicate to you. Certainly these actions. That's why I do this every day, is for all of y'all. And it's really special. So, now we can say Kaddish. Kaddish is a prayer of mourning. This prayer has been said so many times in so many contexts, in so many places in the world. Someone is always saying this prayer. I think there are enough Jews in the world that someone is literally always saying this prayer, and their intentions for saying it are always a little bit different. But the way that I have been thinking about this prayer recently is not only a prayer of grief, but a prayer of letting go. Right? So when I say these words, I try to psychologically release things that my mind is holding on to, even though I cannot actually hold on to them. Right? Things that I need to release from my life that are difficult for me to do because the brain is very sticky, and desires are always present, right? The internet is a jealousy machine, right? We want and want and want, and we see other people who have it and we want it. So we can say Mourner's Kaddish to grieve that we cannot have it, and maybe help to convince ourselves in some tiny way that we don't need to. So the words, they go like this. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabba, b'hamad yivrachute v'yamlich malchute, v'chaychon v'yomechon v'chay dekon beit Yisrael, b'gala v'zman karif yimr. Amen. Yehi shemei rabba mivarach li'alam, al mei al maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yirmam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalah shemei dekudesha b'rechu, le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata, d'yamiran b'yama v'imr. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav, huya aseh shalom, Aleinu v'chol Yisrael v'imr. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav, huya aseh shalom aleinu, v'yal chol Yisrael v'imru v'imru. Amen. And that's it. Thanks. Thanks for joining me this morning. For all the mornings. You've joined me for so many mornings. That's the funny thing, right? As this space on TikTok develops and evolves and shrinks, right? Develops and evolves and shrinks. But sometimes when things evolve, they shrink. That is the nature of evolution. You can evolve in any direction. So as this little space has shrunk, what has happened is that those of you who are here really consistently are the ones who are here really consistently, and so it's changed the flavor of it quite a lot, and I really do feel like unspeakably grateful to have this practice to share with you all so frequently. So thanks. Fred, could you give me some quinoa and a wooden spoon, because you're right there, and then I don't have to get up? Thank you. Seaweed? I don't have any seaweed today. Instead, I have parsley. Parsley in the quinoa. I mean, I could have some seaweed, but I think parsley will do today. Good morning from Louisiana. Good morning from New York. How are you doing today, May? Or is it Mayra? I never know where the first name ends and the last name begins in people's names. Dr. Punk, what are you up to today? Myra. Okay. I'll try to remember that. What's the weather like in Louisiana? Is it hot and humid? It's hot and humid here, but not nearly as hot and humid as I assume it is for you. Our usual routine. Yeah, we do have a routine together. That's pretty cool. Except I'm on late today. I'm having a slow morning because it's Monday. I didn't know that you also lived in Oklahoma, Meg. 109. 109. That's nonsense. Yeah, so the upside of living in the mountains in the north is that it never gets much above 80 in the summertime. But the downside is that in the winter, it's below freezing for like 6 months of the year. And also we have 2 rocks for every dirt. Two rocks for every dirt, and then, bejesus, you're there. It's because if you try to farm in the Catskills, what you find is that the composition of your soil is approximately 2/3 rock and 1/3 dirt. And that can make it very challenging to farm, because plants don't really like to grow in rocks. My grandfather wrote a book about Catskill weather, and that's the opening epigraph. I don't actually know where that little bit of folklore originates from, but it's a meme that my grandfather propagated, and so now I'm propagating it. How much do I save a year dumpster diving? So I spoke to a reporter I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, from some news agency that wanted to, like, make some kitschy little story about my dumpstering. And she asked me that same question. How much money do you save by dumpster diving? And I told her there is no answer to that question. And she was very insistent, extremely insistent, because she wanted her little soundbite for her mass-produced media, and like, you know, I guess TikTok is mass media too. Like, I don't mean to dismiss your question, baby girl. Like, it's a totally honest and legitimate question, but it indicates that we think about food in a different paradigm. Right. So what I ended up telling that reporter was, okay, well, I can't tell you how much money I save dumpster diving because that question doesn't make any sense to me, but I can tell you how much I spend on food, which is, I live in a community where every night we feed somewhere between 8 and 20 people. And we do that by growing food, and we do it by purchasing food, and we do it by dumpstering food, and by bartering for food, right? Like, we have a fairly robust food system, and the part of that food system that uses money spends $800 a month, right? So we spend $800 a month to feed, say 10 people on average, something like that. So 800 divided by 10 is 80, so we spend $80 a month per person, so that's what, like $2.50 a day per person on food. So that I cannot tell you how much I save a year dumpster diving, because dumpstering is part of a coherent food system with lots of complicated bits and pieces. Right, like, if we didn't dumpster, I don't think it would change how much we spent on food. It just changes
Wouldn't eat
what.
as well.
Yeah, it just changes what we eat. So that, I don't know if that answers your question or not. Yeah. Good morning, Courtney. I think it's time for me to go, because I finished my breakfast and we talked. But I hope you all have a really lovely day. And I just really like you all, like so much. Sometimes it's hard for me to like put all the things together in the morning. Like, yes, I have to stream. It's really important. But it is really important, and y'all are really important. And I hope you have a really lovely day. Okay. Bye.